Hello, everyone, and welcome to the College and Beyond Real Talk with Amore. And if you have not already guessed, I'm your host, Amore Carthy. And on today's episode, we will be exploring from Deferred to Defying Gravity, Stone Smith's MIT story. So today's episode is sponsored by Education Innovations. I am the CEO and founder, and our mission is to guide your journey from college admissions to life beyond. We do that by mentoring, helping you with executive functioning skills, study strategies, helping you pick your classes, summer programs, completing your college applications, negotiating your financial aid, and then, of course, career coaching. So, without further ado, let's bring on our special guest. Hi, Stone. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. So, what school are you representing today?
I am representing MIT. I'm currently a sophomore here at MIT in doing aerospace engineering.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. And why don't you start by sharing where you're from and what it was like in
Of
high school?
course. Yeah. So I'm from Roswell, Georgia. I went to Roswell High School, graduated in 2023. So yeah, that's had a good time in high school. I competed in football and lacrosse there, along with doing a couple clubs and some out of school stuff too, as well, helping out throughout Roswell.
Okay, thanks for sharing your background and where you're from in your hometown. I know that they are going to be proud, but why don't we start by starting at the beginning? Where did your journey to MIT really begin? When did you become interested in going to MIT?
So I wasn't uh, started really looking into potentially whether I could go here. Kind of my junior year, junior summer. I play lacrosse here at MIT, so I kind of had to follow the um, athletic recruiting calendar that the MIT coaches had. So all throughout kind of junior summer leading or senior summer leading into your senior year, you're going through and are in contact with a bunch of different coaches, whether you can play at their school or not, if they're giving you offers, acceptances, stuff like that. So I didn't really start being in contact with MIT till right before my senior year is when I first started kind of reaching out to the coach, beginning that discussion. MIT is very different than any other, basically any college program at all when it comes to athletics. They can't push you through admissions. So it was more of a conversation about whether I should go through and apply and how my application would look rather than being, oh, like we want you, we'll get you through admissions.
Mm, and I think people don't understand that. It's totally different. You were originally deferred. How did you process that, and what made you keep pushing?
So yeah, the deferral was a little hard, especially for me because, like I said, when it came to athletics again, I had other schools that, like I had athletic offers to other schools that because MIT's application, I wouldn't get regular decision till middle of March, which was very late. I had to go to these
Mm,
other schools and be like, hey, sorry, like I'm not going to accept this offer. I'm going to hold out and wait. So that was a very tough decision to really be able to be like, hey, I'm going to turn down this guaranteed like money, guaranteed offer that I have and wait for something that I don't know if I'm going to get or not. Really, continuing to work kind of all throughout my senior fall, making sure that when I went through and did my regular application, because you have your main application you do when you get early action. If you get deferred, you can update it. So I added stuff that I did during my senior fall to help kind of strengthen up my application. So really continuing to push and do that and work hard to where then I could then get accepted. It kind of really kept me going. So
well, I'm glad you kept pushing through. Sometimes people, say they don't want me, but deferral means not denied. Just means a little bit later. But I'm glad you kept pushing.
mhm.
What do you think ultimately tipped your application into the yes pile?
So with mine and was talking like now that I'm up here, I can talk with other people. like all my friends and stuff, MIT really looks for people that have very strong passions. So when I was going through and writing my application, both on the early action and updating it for the regular, making sure that what I really truly cared about and was passionate about really shone through, kind of setting me apart from just like my test score numbers and my GPA number. Because, everyone can have a high GPA, have high test scores if they work, but showing that you are really a person that has these passions, has this drive, that sets you apart. And that's what I think with my application really kind of, pushed me apart from everyone else, making me, to where I was eventually accepted.
Okay. So now we're going to change to life at MIT, reality versus expectations. What surprised you the most about MIT once you got there?
So I don't know, in my head, it was, seemed like a lot of very like, I don't know. I don't quite know like what I first thought coming in, what I exactly had in mind. I can tell you what it's like right now.
Mhm.
There is a lot of it's, there's a good bit of work, but it's work that you want to do. Like I'm in classes right now, and they do take up a lot of time, but it's stuff that I really want to learn and want to apply to what I want to do with aerospace. Um, the other thing too is there are so many opportunities at the school to get involved in stuff that you really like, whether it be through like research. That big thing that MIT does is when we have undergraduate research programs. So my freshman year, I was doing research with a professor, helping to use Monte Carlo simulations to model asteroid ablation through Earth's atmosphere as a freshman, which is pretty
Mm.
interesting. Um, they're build teams. I'm a part of rocket team, so I
Whoa,
can
whoa,
go
whoa, wait,
through
wait, let's go.
and have
Let's go
access.
back. You said Astro Blade. Like, can you like explain what that is? Astro Blade, something you said.
Yeah, sure. So the big thing with this model is, or what we were trying to do, is when asteroids come through Earth's atmosphere, they're experiencing a lot of there's friction forces from the atmosphere slowing it down. That's when it catches on fire. And with all these forces happening, like on the asteroid, there's stuff ablating off, kind of like falling off. It's falling apart as it goes through the atmosphere.
Mhm.
And it can get to the point where all of the stress on this rock will cause it to fracture and explode. I don't know. There's a video online in like 2011. There was a big meteorite over Russia that flew over, then exploded, caused a bunch of damage. That would be like a good example. And so what we were trying to do is, or what the grad student and professor were working on before I hopped
Mhm.
in on the project is, basically modeling these stress forces, all of this different kind of, what's going to happen to the asteroid, to where it will then try to model how it breaks, when it will break. Um, and what they had originally been doing is that they were able to get the model to successfully work for homogeneous, being like one material spheres. So they just had like
Mhm.
balls that they were doing through the sim, and it worked well with that. When I
Mhm.
came on, they wanted to start using inhomogeneous kind of models. So these different asteroids, they aren't entirely made up of like one material. They can be like bits of
Mhm.
metal, bits of rock in them. So making to where I could take data sets that had these like material characteristics and create an asteroid that wasn't exactly uniform. And then we also wanted to go through and use real geometry, which means that instead of a ball, now we're like modeling actual, like what the asteroids actually look like. So a lot of it was manipulating data sets. The big thing with me is that there isn't much data on these asteroid characteristics, because in order to get the type of data that we need, you have to actually like take material and go into a lab and run tests on it. And it's hard
Mhm.
when that material most of the time explodes in the atmosphere, and like we don't have that. So it was trying to take small data sets and turn them into, basically I put them into distributions to where we can then pull from a certain distribution, like what the most probable kind of material property would be, and assign it to these different mesh points in this 3D mesh of the
Mm.
asteroid.
So that was just in your freshman year. So I know that I interrupted you and you were talking about the opportunities that are at MIT. So that was in your freshman year. Tell us more about what is there that might have surprised you.
Yeah, like that was kind of ties into what surprises me is how hands-on and how immediately involved you can be in something. So that was just like one example. Like I was freshman year, didn't know much, like hadn't taken many classes at MIT, had taken no classes relating to my major yet, but I'm still able to get involved and do stuff that like I'm passionate about. So it's the opportunities that you have to go through and really kind of do whatever like you really love. They give you those opportunities, whether it be through research, build teams, projects. Like MIT will push that and let you be able to explore those kind of passions.
Okay. So now how did you adjust to the workload, especially coming from high school? Is it different, more or less? Like, what would you say was the
So
biggest,
it was
like
a lot more. So it was a lot more than my high school. The nice thing that MIT has that really tries to help all the freshmen adjust is our freshman fall is we're on something called PNR, which is pass no record, which basically means that your freshman fall, every class you're taking that fall is not it doesn't count towards your GPA. You don't get a grade for it. It's either pass or you fail. So, and fail being no record, it doesn't show on your transcript. So, with
Mhm,
that, I tried to take as many classes as possible. I needed to take a coding class, so I wanted to take this like lower level coding class.
mhm.
Whole long story with registration stuff. Basically, they wouldn't let me do it. I had to take this advanced coding class. I was like, we'll see what happens. Like I'm on PNR. Um, got really sucked. It was a lot of work. I ended up failing the class. I retook it the spring semester and like passed it easily. It was got a really good grade in it.
Mhm.
But basically, with the whole like PNR helped me out a bunch because I overloaded myself in the fall, but there was no downside. Like there's nothing bad happens because like, oh no, I fail a class. Like, yeah, I do have to take it again, but it doesn't show on my record. I now know going forward in my rest of my time here, like this is what a reasonable amount of classes is for me. This is what a reasonable workload is for me in terms of like my time and what I have to be able to do. So that really helped with adjusting. I now know like, okay, like I can take this many classes for this like
So
level of workload, like that's feasible for me to do.
what was the crazy level that you tried to do when you first came in? How many classes did you try to do?
So how many courses? So
Uh-huh.
they put a limit on it.
Mhm.
MIT caps you. You can't take like 9 classes in a semester. That would be very unreasonable. And people would try to game the system to do that. So mine, I think it was a 60 credit limit, maybe. So technically that accounted to like 5 classes that you could
Okay.
do. Um,
Mhm.
the only thing is they were 5 technical classes. So it was like physics, math, coding, it was chemistry. So they aren't humanities, which are typically a little bit easier. They're 5 labor intensive classes, but I learned. So I now know.
What would you say, you know, what did you learn about yourself? I know that you said you learned how to handle the workload, but what else did you learn about yourself, if you did learn anything else?
So yeah, handling workloads a big thing. Another kind of I think is very different from high school kind of side, like learning and being in school is at MIT they purposely make everything pretty hard because they want you to work collaboratively with people. So all of our
Mm,
homeworks, I haven't done a single homework alone. And it's MIT's designed that way. Yeah, it's all meant to be like, oh, I sit in groups with people. We have these problems, and then we get to go through and we work on together. I'll sit and like talk with people, be like, oh, like I got a different number. Why do you think that? And we'll go through and like basically discuss like, oh, like based on like what we learned, it could be this. And it's like, no, like maybe that thought process isn't exactly right. Like you should think about it this way. So I think having that kind of adjustment too. I learned like how to work with teams, how to really think, not even just like working with people, but how to think collectively as a group towards a common problem, a common goal. I think that was a
mm,
very big kind of adjustment that is good.
okay. Um, Now, I like how you said that it was adjustment, even though you play sports and you play on a team. That intellectually, that's a different kind of trying to go towards one goal as a team. Now, let's talk about how do you balance athletics, your fraternity, your friends. You're on the lacrosse team at MIT. How do you balance the physical and mental demands of um, with that of your academics?
So personally for me, people always ask like, how are you doing a sport at MIT? Isn't that a lot of time? Um, in my opinion, I need that sport as an outlet. So
Mm,
like I can't, it's good because every single day for 2.5, 3 hours, I can go and check out. I don't have to think. I can just solely
mhm,
focus on being the best I can on the field, working towards, again, like common goal with the team, but like I'm not, my brain isn't like, I'm still thinking, but I'm not doing this like crazy hard classes. I can just focus on lacrosse, focus on like making the next play. So
mhm,
that with me, like really helps me balance my time because it's like I need that outlet. In terms of like, yeah, I do have 3, 4 hours less every single day to do stuff. Um, Basically, I think finding ways to do work as efficiently as possible is a big thing. Like whenever I'm doing homework stuff and like I'm working on a class and I'm not getting a question on homework, rather than sit and like, bash my head into a wall for an hour till I can finally kind of like understand what the right answer will be, skip it,
mhm,
ask
mhm,
someone else, like, hey, like, how would you go about doing this? My thought process isn't good for
mhm,
this one question. And they can sit down and explain it to you. So it's really kind of maximizing your efficiency when it comes to doing the work.
mhm.
And then again, like I need that, work balance with like social balance. So most of the time, Saturdays, I'm not doing any work. I'm hanging out with friends. I'm in a fraternity, so I'll hang out with them through there. I'll have
Mhm.
lacrosse. So go have games and stuff like that. So kind of having that work side, but also having a side where I'm not having to think and solely focus on school. It's good for your mental health, just well-being, I think. So
I believe so too. I mean, I studied some of brain theory or neuro, like brain rules and how you learn. And one of the things in brain rules is that like you need to exercise. That actually helps you focus because, like you
mhm.
said, um, you have a time away and you can do other things, and the endorphins help you, and then you go back because nobody wants to just be studying all the time. I mean, you have to have an outlet, like you said. So you're part of a fraternity. We want to know more. When you joined that fraternity, what's your fraternity's name, and what has that community meant to you? I know I
Yeah,
asked.
so
You.
I'm in Chi Phi.
Mhm.
Hmm?
I'm sorry. I said I asked a whole bunch of questions in there.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm in Chi Phi here at MIT. Um, Fraternity, at least for most of the fraternities here on campus, when it comes to sports, like a majority of the sports team will go kind of towards one fraternity. So for Chi Phi, we're mainly all lacrosse and all baseball kids. So it's great. It helps team kind of bonding for lacrosse because I live with basically most of my lacrosse team. Everyone in my grade that plays lacrosse is in the same house. Like we're all
Hmm.
in Chi Phi. So I spend a lot of time with them on and off the field. In terms of joining a fraternity, it's a lot different than any other school when it comes to like rush process and then pledge process.
Hmm.
So all of the freshmen are here, I think, week and a half before school starts. They go through orientation. And then while orientation is happening, we will have fraternity events that these freshmen can then come to and see which fraternity they like the most. And it can be anything. I know for us, we'll have a cookout. We'll do like a barbecue out on our front lawn. We live in Boston and Back Bay, so we have a nice little grass spot. We'll go and grill. We'll go up one day, rent out vans, go up to Maine and jet ski in Maine with all the freshmen for a day. We'll
Mm.
go and take them like bowling. Like we go and do a bunch of different events, private boat cruise that we have towards the end of the rush. And as you go
Mhm.
through and do this, you'll narrow down your options, and then the fraternities will give out bids at the end of
Mm.
like week before class starts. Then you accept that bid. before class even begins. That way it's very separated because, everyone's here at MIT. There's a lot of work. People don't have much time to like be doing rush stuff while school's going on.
Mhm.
So now you still have to go through a pledge process, and that does happen within the fall. But
Mhm.
that entire process, very, very like not much time at all compared to other schools. The upperclassmen, we don't have time to go through and like do an intensive pledge process with the pledges. The pledges don't have time to go through and, spend hours and hours and hours a week doing fraternity stuff. So it's a lot more laid back.
Mhm.
But we do have like member education. Um, it will do stuff ranging from like learning the history of the house to more specific, like, oh, here's how you should adjust to MIT. Like, what are your ops? That's the research things I was talking about. Like, how do you do that?
Mm. Mhm.
How should your resume look?
Mm.
How should you email and talk with professors? So stuff like that. That's all, good knowledge to know. So.
Sounds really helpful and like a good brotherhood. So tell me about your social circle. How has it shaped your college experience?
Yeah, so my dorm that I lived in my freshman year, I picked the most social dorm and then the most social floor in the most social dorm because I like talking with people. So my two roommates that I have originally, this is kind of a funny story. There was me and then another guy from Atlanta that went to Marist that were committed to play lacrosse here. And we were like, hey, like we're both going to be on the lacrosse team. We're both from Georgia. Let's room in a double. And we're like, okay. So we go through and fill out all of our housing stuff and basically have everything set as a double. And then the summer comes and we get our housing kind of assignment back. And we're like, uh-oh, it's a triple. They added a third person. So we were really worried it was going to be some like weird kid that would not be from similar to me and my Will, the guy from Marist at all.
Mhm.
And it turned out to be this guy who also played lacrosse in high school, but plays squash here at MIT, named JJ. Great guy. We're all really close friends. I still live with both of them now. Like we both went to the same fraternity. I live with both of them now in the same like kind of room in the fraternity house. Really close friends. I went and visited JJ over like winter break. So I have that like close knit social circle. Um,
Mhm.
with lacrosse, I also have that close social. We're all very close as a team. For a D3 team, we're very small
Mhm.
compared to most other teams. So we're like very tight knit, very good team. Kind of a like we mesh well as a team. And then also with me living on that most social floor in the most social dorm my freshman year, I have a bunch
Mhm.
of other friends from my dorm room freshman year that I don't see as much now, but they're still like close. We'll hang out with them a good bit.
Mhm.
So it's kind of
Sounds
most of my friend group. I also have people like friends within my major that I'll go do work with or in my
Mhm.
clubs. But most of
Mm.
the time I spend is with my fraternity, my friends from that dorm and lacrosse
Mm.
team. So
Okay. So now we're going to switch gears and look at or talk about your research rockets and NASA challenges. You were paid to do some research. You're on a is it a rocket team and something with
mhm.
NASA? And tell us more about that and how do these experiences connect you to your goals?
So, with I already talked a lot about my year op. I'll spare the details of that. That was the asteroid stuff I was talking about earlier. And I did get paid, which was nice. It's good to have a little bit of
Oh yeah.
money in the pocket during college. Spend it on lunch. For Rocket Team, though, that's kind of the main one that I've been involved over the last 2 years. We build fully design ourselves and we'll build solid and liquid propulsion rockets. I am on the propulsion sub team. I was originally solid propulsion my freshman year. Built a 15-foot tall, 6-inch diameter rocket, two stage, went about 30,000 feet.
Wow.
This year, I shifted over to liquids, which is more applicable when it comes to space exploration. Most of space exploration rockets are liquid propulsion. So
Mhm.
I've been doing a lot of stuff designing the nozzle, machining. And with that, I think Rocket Team is a great, any of the build teams are a great experience because I get the full, like from design to, final creation. I get all of the experience with that. So I learned how to CAD. I know how to design stuff just from ideas or different specs that we need to meet.
Mhm.
We go through, edit this CAD, edit these drawings, and edit these designs to when they can go be manufactured. I know how to manufacture. I have manufactured stuff on CNC lathes and mills that can have a tolerance of about half of a thousandth of an inch. We'll basically go and I have a block of aluminum like this, and I'll put it into the
Mm.
lathe, and we'll go and make rocket parts. I've done it
Mm.
with aluminum, graphite, phenolic, which is like an insulator. And then we go through and we'll assemble, test, fix anything that doesn't work during the test, and assemble, and then launch the rocket in the spring. So
Mm.
that's been kind of my most rewarding thing that I've done here, like outside of class at MIT. I'm also involved in a NASA challenge, which we're supposed to hear back tomorrow about it. But basically, that was me, 4 or 5 other undergraduate students, and a professor here in the air department. We went through, and there's a NASA challenge called Human Lander Challenge.
Mhm.
And they give us these goals or this kind of like issue that they're facing with the Artemis mission. Basically, it's a cryogenic propellant, rocket fuel that's stored very, very cold. When you keep it in
Mhm.
space, it warms up because there's radiation from the sun and Earth. And when
Mhm.
it warms up, it boils and expands, which is not good because once it boils and expands, you have to just get rid of it in space. So it will eventually evaporate.
Mm.
And for long missions like Artemis going back to the moon, we want to figure out a way that we can keep it cold for as long as possible so that we don't have like all of our rocket fuel disappear halfway through the mission.
Mm.
So we came up with different ways of going about trying to combat that issue. We fleshed out a model for how many or how much fuel that you'd actually need based on these boiling rates.
Mhm.
And then we went through and had these different engineering solutions that we had using a combination of multi-layer insulation, cryogenic or cryo coolers to help keep the propellant cold. And the thing that I mainly focused on was temperature stratification. Basically, if I
Mhm.
have the rocket and it's just sitting in space, the outer edges of the fuel inside the tank are going to get warmer than the center of the fuel in the
Mhm.
tank,
Mhm.
which isn't good. You want the temperature to be uniform because it helps it boil slower. So I designed or was looking to help create small pumps that were inside the tank, along with these things are called baffles. These
Mhm.
baffles are already in the tanks to help keep the fuel from sloshing around. That's not good.
Mhm.
And I proposed editing and modifying the baffles into these different hydrodynamic shapes that would then, as the rocket moved, would cause the propellant to move inside the fuel, to move inside the rocket to make the temperature uniform.
Mm.
And that I've worked on for the last year. Tomorrow, we submitted our first initial kind of proposal. Tomorrow, we'll hear back whether we get, if we do, if they're like, yeah, this is good, you'll move on
Mhm.
to the next round. We get a
Mhm.
$10,000 grant to go through and create a prototype. And then after we do that prototype and, edit our proposal and continue to do work towards like a very solid solution, we'll submit it again. And if they like that the second time, we get to go to Alabama to present it in front of a bunch of NASA scientists. So, which would
Okay.
be pretty sweet. It'd be a good experience.
So I'll send your team good vibes so that you can go to the next round. So I know that we
Mhm.
can't wait to hear more about that. So I just want to talk to you about some, advice, reflections. Like if you could go back and give advice to your high school self, what would you say?
Yeah. So, I just really say, really try to focus on things that you're passionate in. Like I said, it's MIT especially, but any college, they're looking to take you because you have goals and you have objectives in life that you like really care about. I am super passionate about space exploration. That is what I
Mm.
love. So making sure that shone through when I was applying to colleges or even like doing stuff in high school. I did a couple things that were geared towards that, but maybe if I was, looking back and could tell my high school self, maybe do some more stuff that was focused on space exploration, like have dive deeper into that passion, that would, could have given me some good experience. So just really kind of focusing on that. And then being patient too, especially when it comes to college acceptance, rejections, deferrals. It can be a lot to really have to sit and wait when you have something deferred. So just being patient, trusting the process, still working towards that like end goal, I think would just making sure like, hey, like it's going to be okay. You just gotta be patient, trust the process. So
I think those are good words of advice. So you're saying to be patient, trust the process, and keep forging ahead. Now, the people are going to want to know where you're at or where your journey is. Where can they follow you or connect with you? Can you hear me, Stone?
Oh yeah, sorry, you just cut out for a second.
Oh, I was saying, where, the people are going to probably want to follow you because of all the exciting things that you're doing. Where can they follow or connect with you?
Sure. Yeah. So more formal, I have my LinkedIn. It should be just Stone Smith. I forget what the actual username is, but I'll be on there. I have a very fleshed out LinkedIn profile. Thanks to you. You helped me create that in high school. So I've continued to modify and edit it, update it. So it is up to date.
Good.
And then Instagram too. You can follow me, Stone Smith 3355, all lowercase, is my Insta handle as well.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And then we'll see the audience next time. Bye.
Bye.